attendance tonight is our board, Candace, and Marcy, and our director and our clerk. Okay. Anything for open public participation? So that also would be for anybody that's on the Zoom.
So there's one person on the Zoom. There's two. Oh, Jonathan. Can anybody hear me on the Zoom? Just want to make sure our sound is recording.
Oh, I see him now.
Yes. Oh, you can hear us?
Yes.
Great, thank you. Is there anybody here for public participation? Oh,
No? Okay, then we will close public participation at 6:31. And we will go on to the approval of the minutes of the May 15th meeting.
I make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second motion. All in favor?
Linehan, aye.
Yes. Aye, and Silver eye, so moved, all accepted. Thank you, Cindy. Very well done. We're now gonna have a little bit of a discussion with our director on an informal session for the public food inspections. I don't think our food inspector Dan is on yet, but he will be. So Anthony, if you would go over that. Thank you.
So I'll do my best impersonation of Dan tonight. We've discussed with the town administrator recently. There's been a discussion about whether or not the town wants to post their food inspections online. They are a matter of public record. Up to this point, we've always just received requests through the the Freedom of Information Act. So when we do receive those requests, we turn them out really quick. Generally, we get them out within 24 hours of request, but there's been a lot of discussion of transparency. People want to see the inspections. So the town administrator has decided that he would like us to start posting these inspections. And so we have been working with Jen McDonald, our communications manager, are working with Aaron Kukinda on this, and we're going to work closely with our businesses in the town as well. We want to roll this out effectively, so we don't want to just throw all of our inspections on the website and just let the town kind of interpret as they will. What we want to do is we want to go in with some educational material. We want to, we've had some discussions about doing tutorials, like a video potentially, plus a voiceover of describing the different parts of a food inspection report, general, frequently asked questions, different parts of the report that are important. And when we do all of that, we'll roll that video out and then also have a written version of that. So we'll have some details of like, what does it mean to have violations, what do different types of violations mean, more general information for the public so that when they read these reports, they'll have a better understanding. So we're working on that right now. Jen McDonald will help us get this on the website in a way that's accessible. We are likely going to be posting the latest inspection report on the website. And then as usual, if you want to view the historical record, or if they have more questions, they can always reach out and we're happy to kind of explain that to them and or provide the reports as needed. So we are aiming for potentially the end of calendar year Q3 to get this implemented. So we're working to bring all the inspection reports onto the website. We're going to figure out a way to make them accessible. And then it'll also give us time to create the educational materials that go along with it. Maybe at a future board meeting, we could pilot those educational materials. We can watch the Board of Health meeting, or we can get feedback basically on what works, what doesn't work, and what you guys have to see.
So will you start with just a regular inspection, that week that you decide to get all the information? And it will be on the town website, I believe, right?
Yeah, so what we're doing is we're gonna create like a sub page of our current web page. And then we're gonna post all 130 or so permits, 130 or so permits. They'll be likely organized in some fashion, either by risk level or by alphabetical order. We'll probably do it that way. And then we will then link it to the latest report so that you can pull, so that anybody goes on there, can click on it, pull up the latest report, they can read through it. And then if they have questions they can ask, or if they want to see older reports, they can also ask us for those and provide those.
And that will include all restaurants, stores, Will that include any of the seasonal permits such as for ice cream trucks or anything like
I
that?
think we still need to talk about that. We need to figure out if we're gonna post, I mean, like, there's farmers market ones, but those are also seasonal, so like, if we put them up, then we're gonna take them down after the season, because they might be different vendors, different people, so. At this time, I'm probably leaning towards, and again, we can discuss what we wanna do, I'm leaning towards more of the permanent establishments, so all your annual permits. And then if we need to do like a temporary one, or we wanna include ice cream trucks, that sort of thing, we can do that too.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
I was hoping that maybe you'd get a restaurant or a store that would volunteer for you to go in and video it. Then I said, someone may recognize their freezer if they work there, and to see actual, the temperature, I mean, you don't see them, I've seen them, you know, the way they are, it's one of your first things in your dating and everything. But that would be good in the video. With that video, I know, Dan mentioned about doing the video. Would that video also be available online for someone who
Yes.
doesn't say anything?
So I think the intention of the video is to have it posted as like a YouTube video or something on our page, so that they can go and watch the video, learn about the different parts, and then like a written version, people who want to read rather than listen to the video.
Sounds good. The other towns that we are, you know, with Stoneham and Melrose, are they also gonna do something like this, do you know?
I think consistency is an important thing, so now that Wakefield has decided that we want to move forward with posting inspections, there's a conversation to be had with Melrose and Stoneham as well. We'll talk with the city and town leadership, and figure out where they're at, with that. I think it's followed a very similar trend. I think there's ups and downs. There's sometimes people who are interested in the reports and they'll request it, and we same thing, we turn them around to them. Generally, that hasn't really been an issue, but it's a discussion to be had.
May I ask you, if a restaurant, okay, gets you posted their inspection and say they, you know, have a couple of really critical, how long would it be? Would you be posting the one that you would be going back to in 72 hours right away? Or would you, if you have one that has a lot of critical that you're gonna work with, that you would bring to us on something, would you go back and put the next one in, or would you hold it until we saw that there was something in a plan in place?
That's a good question. I think for those that have many critical violations or critical violations of that nature that would require a Board of Health meeting, I think that report would go up and it would stay up until either the board meets and then they have a re-inspection that will correct that. There's also times when we'll do inspections and there will be issues, but not enough for us to consider them health hazards, so that we don't have them closed. We may still go back in 48 hours, 72 hours, we may still go back and check on them. We'll likely have that posted, and then if they do correct everything, or they correct the vast majority of them, then we'll post a new inspection. But we'll still be held to the same standard. If they have a consistent pattern of having issues, a lot of issues, then just correcting them after and seeing the same pattern again, what we'll do is same thing, recommend the food safety consultant. And if it gets to that point where it's a repeated pattern, then it'll come before the Board of Health. There's kind of a chain of events that would happen. So that would still be the case.
Does the food safety consultant, if one is involved, do they do their own reports?
They do.
Will those be part of like the information that's posted?
So they can be. So the way that works is food safety consultants will generally do some version of the same inspection report. We request permission from the establishment for the consultant to release it to us. So it's not something that we automatically get. The owner of the establishment has to get permission. We have to get permission from them to release the report to us. They generally do.
And then does it become public record, or is it actually like a
Yes.
private document between the consultant? and the business?
If there is permission from the owner granted to see it, then it becomes a matter of public record.
Okay.
You mentioned information coming to us. I have a question that is about that actually. I had heard a rumor that there were a couple of restaurants that were closed on Broadway, and I don't really care for rumors, so I decided to go by one of them today actually and ask have they been closed
On Broadway.
on Broadway. And they said that yes, they had, but that said, I didn't want to probe too much.
Yes.
And I don't know if it was us or another governing body that may have closed them. So I'm wondering, what is the process for information if something were to be, closed, or there were to be an extreme situation, how it comes to this board?
Yeah, so when we do have a closure, and since the last meeting, we've had a couple of closures. What we'll do is we usually present to the board the information. We would only close in an event where they have issues that are not safe to continue operating.
Okay.
So on Broadway, I don't know if there's any on
Wait.
Broadway.
When I spoke to someone, there was some mention of gas, so I thought that could have been a different inspectional
Oh,
body, and that's why
okay.
I'm questioning.
Oh, okay, yeah,
Yeah.
if it was a gas related issue, it could have been fire building, yeah, it might have been fire building.
Okay,
We-
so if there had been a closure by your team,
Yes,
it
we
would,
would-
that information would
we
come
would
to us.
include it in the next report. to the board,
Gotcha.
yeah.
Okay.
That being said, we do have one closure to talk about, that would be 2% closure for New Salem.
Kings of Lake.
Kings of Lear, that was a closure, right?
Yes, we did, yes, and then he was ordered to come close and then get the food consultant.
Correct, yes.
And did,
So, yeah, so Kings of Flavor on New Salem Street, that was, I believe, that was the only one between now and the last Board of Health meeting that there was an issue. Just a lot of sanitary issues in there, there were rodent issues, there were food contact surfaces that needed to be cleaned, the staff needed to be trained better, there were issues with hand washing. So Dan had gone out there to do an inspection, he had 2 trainees with him, they did the full inspection and just found that they needed extra help. And so we followed the same process, we required them to hire a food safety consultant before they reopened. They have since reopened, they have a food safety consultant, I believe that person will be with them for 2 months. Basically on a weekly basis to go in there, do training with the staff, make sure that they're fixing the things that we've pointed out. So the reason they're reopened is because we no longer consider them a hazard. But we'll continue to do re-inspections, and after the food consultant is done, we will then do a final revisit to make sure that they're all set. Kings of Flavor, I believe, is considered a risk-free establishment for us, so we would go there 3 times a year. But because they've had issues, we'll likely tack on an extra inspection this year, just to make sure they're on track. This being their first real bout of issues, so we wouldn't really consider this a high-risk restaurant, so. But in the future, now we have this in our records, if there were to be another issue, then we might take more steps.
Where is that risk tier information found?
So we actually keep a list, so from risk 1 to risk 4, that's the food FDA risk-based inspection schedule. So risk 1 being your lowest risk, that's generally your places that only serve prepackaged foods. Risk 2, you move into prepared foods. Risk 3 are your general restaurants, so places that prepare raw food. And then risk 4 are your establishments serving either high-risk foods or serving high-risk populations. So that could be nursing homes, that could be sushi restaurants, that sort of thing. So we make a determination of the risk level of each restaurant based on their menu and what they're serving. And so we keep that list. We keep that list along with our restaurant schedule. And so throughout the year, when we distribute the amount of inspections we do 4 routine inspections for your highest risk, and on down the line, so 3 for your restaurants, 2 for your risk 2s and risk 1s. We do one inspection a year. And then that's not a hard and fast, the criteria is hard and fast, but then what we do is we also look at the number of violations we get, the number of occurrences of issues. We may or may not bump establishments up a risk level if we consider them to be a higher risk because of the issues that we see. So an establishment that may have multiple issues, they may go from a risk 2 to a risk 3. We may do them 3 times a year, not just 2.
What would you say is the average time that a facility has to be closed?
I think based on most of our experiences, our facilities are closed anywhere from 24 to 72 hours. So when we close them, we're very intentional. So we go there with a plan. We say, here are all the issues that need to be fixed. It's up to them, but they have to then get a food safety consultant before they can reopen. And there's a state provided list of certified food trainers that are there. So they can then call down the list and find somebody to come in. And those people are generally pretty available, so they can come in like within 24, 48 hours. and businesses want to get open right away. So once they've corrected the issues and they can prove that they've got the food safety consultant come in, the consultant has then reached out to us to confirm that they're working with them. Then we feel comfortable with someone watching them that they can reopen and get back into swing of things. So, it's generally not a long closure. We've had a couple of exceptions, and generally those exceptions required Board of Health meetings. When we have had multiple issues and we want the owners to work with the Board of Health and understand the consequences. So that's really been the only issues, but it's for 24 to 72 hours.
Thank you. Okay, we can, anybody else have any other questions or discussion? I think this is gonna be fun.
Yes.
Yeah, is there any plan? What are we anticipating here? I mean, I guess if I was to guess, I can tell there's been a lot of interest from our community in having this
Yes.
information. Are we anticipating more traffic in the health department? Are we anticipating
I think
pushback from restaurants? Have we heard that?
Yeah, I think something that we want to do is we want to make sure we're being good partners with the restaurants too. So we're probably gonna have, outreach, and Erin McKinda is really good about this. She looks out for the businesses, so we'll probably do some outreach with the restaurants, tell them what this really means for them. I mean, it's not gonna be a huge change. I anticipate when we first roll it out or when we're getting to that, there's gonna be more traffic, just people are gonna be interested in seeing what's going on. There's gonna be some, but I feel like overall, we have a really responsible restaurant community here. I think the vast majority of them are good owners. They take care of their restaurants, not to say that they don't have bumps in the road, but that's to be expected. So I think in the beginning, we'll anticipate some increased traffic, but this also might have the better side effect of, we want to get the name out there of what we also do. So foodborne illnesses, not everybody really knows. So you may go out to eat, you may come home, you may not feel well, but they may not, the first instinct may not be to call the health department. You may not know what to do in that situation, right? But by doing this, there's more outreach. Maybe people who might not have called before might be more inclined to go, oh, well, I did this. So I think there's gonna be some increased traffic with this. I don't anticipate it being crushing.
Okay, we move on to the health director's report.
Sure.
Or was that it?
That was it for that part.
Probably, yes. I had a couple of questions, so.
Yes,
Okay.
so for the health director's report, things are moving along. We've completed the vast majority of our routine inspections, so relevant to what we just talked about. Most of our inspections are complete up to this point. We've had some housing complaints, but not a lot.
Colonial Point and
Colonial Point,
AC,
yeah.
it's
So
the same thing,
we've had a lot of discussions about AC over the years. So
Trash problem there in the past.
trash problems in the past. I think one of the biggest things that, are still somewhat unresolved in the housing code, as you know, there's a heating season. And there's a minimum temperature that's required, but there is no maximum, right? And we talk every year about how it's getting hotter and hotter during these seasons, and heat stroke and heat exposure is a real thing. And it's, and a lot of these places that don't have regular access to AC or cooling methods, it becomes a real hazard, especially for the senior population, right? So something that we are still trying to address is, making it available for people to have places to go when it's really hot, especially if their AC stops working. But these are also probably your most vulnerable population, so they probably have less access to transportation, that sort of thing. So we're still trying to figure that piece out. Something long-term that we might want to consider having a discussion about is, is there a maximum heat requirement that we should be looking at? Because, cold is just as dangerous as heat, right? So right now, there is no upper limit on heat requirements. Obviously, requiring multifamilies to have access to AC becomes a huge cost. And we already have cost issues for housing, that sort of thing. But at the same time, we're also running the risk of, seniors or people who are vulnerable not being able to, access safe living conditions. So that's something that we still need to have a discussion about. So more to come on that. Metro is a MAPC group here does a lot of emergency preparedness work, and they also are doing a lot of work on heat exposure and looking at what are hospital admissions, those numbers, and how they play into it. So there's a lot of resources going into that, and I anticipate that we're gonna have that discussions.
It'd be interesting to see like how our cooling spaces in Wakefield are being used on these hot days. Like, what do the people in the library notice, or like other places, you know, who's coming in? Are they the same people that usually just come in to hang out, or are you getting an influx, and where are those people from?
Right.
Is there a designated cooling quote center that we open up in town? Has it
I
been?
think the library.
Just the library, right?
Yeah,
The
library.
senior center?
The senior center on occasion, I think it's mostly during business hours,
Yeah.
but after business hours or on weekends or anything. This room actually, this is a community room, so we're actually in the public safety community room, so they actually open this is always open, so people can come in here. And they can go off.
Is there a list somewhere where we would, is posted somewhere where the average person would be able to go and look for it? It's on the
I
website.
think it's on the
is it
website,
not?
Jen
Usually-
McDonald
Jen
posts-
posts it
When they
out.
post like
Yeah.
heat advisory.
Yeah.
Is it there?
She'll push it out on
places.
like on Facebook and other places through the town communications.
I thought I had seen the library.
Yes,
That
the
was the only
library.
thing I had seen, and whereas some places designate,
Maybe
like,
America
you know, the
has
civic
a
center.
heritage room.
I don't know, the civic center is used a lot, so
Yeah,
I don't know if they have a really cool room. Cheap, isn't it?
The Heritage Center is. the
Yeah, heritage room
That's a
is,
little
yeah,
cool.
that's a little.
My kids went there for sports on the hot days. I think it is cooler. I think they
Yeah.
do something. It's not like it isn't here.
Yeah, it's not 100% what we call cooling, and a lot of discussion with public health is the fact that we open these cooling systems from 9 to 5 or 9 to 6.
Yeah.
Well, what happens at 6
Yeah.
o'clock when they have to go back into their apartment or their home and it's so hot? What else can be done for them? Is there something else, you know?
Is there access, is there any programs that offer free or low cost air conditioning units?
I think
Fans.
Fans, yeah.
Yeah, or fans, yeah,
Yeah.
anything, right? Is there, I wonder if Jason, you know, like access through the gas and light department? Like,
there might be programs for people who with trouble accessing.
Right.
I think the issue at Colonial Point is that they have those big windows. So you can't put like a regular AC in the window,
you can't.
but you
put
can,
every
I
slide
think
in,
in
yeah.
those floor
Yeah.
ones, you know.
Yeah.
That we recommend them doing, and I, it was a short time that they were out, and they did have a cooling room, their little community room that they
Oh,
had.
yeah.
So that was, I think that was okay for them to cool off it down in that room, in the building.
Yeah.
Until they could get that switched over or whatever.
There may
it was.
be an organization too that takes fans, you know, people, you know, sell their houses, something,
Yeah.
and they put an AC and they don't want to get rid of them, they're all brand new, nice tall fans or something, and maybe, yeah, they just don't need them, that would, you know, donate them or something like that. Right, so maybe you can ask Jason.
So we don't have a full nurses report today, but the nurses have been, the inspectors have been hard at work getting camps open,
Yep, we
this is
have all
busy.
permitted but one.
all permanent, but one.
Tell me it's not Camp Q.
Camp Q is permitted. No,
Yeah.
actually, I mean, you guys have been along for the journey. Camps have come a long way. Sandy has worked very hard to make sure that their regulations are all up to date. We've got great cooperation, Boys and Girls Club, Camp Q, Sailing Club, they're all working really hard to make sure that they're in compliance, and they've always run a good program, but I think now, because everything's solidified on paper, they're even more trained now in case there's something going on, so camps have come a long way, and the new regulations have become pretty strict in the state. So we always want to just be prepared for audits from the state in case they come down and they want to make sure that we're doing the right thing. The camps have taken that to heart, and this year has been really good. So, yeah, the camps are in a good spot.
Sandy and Melissa attended a lot of trainings on camps, we had a lot from public health this year with all the new regs and stuff. The two of them were very, very involved.
And the one that's not permitted isn't starting until Monday.
Right, yes.
So we will inspect them and get them permitted to
Yes.
start.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So actually, all camps that are running are permitted.
Yes,
Cool,
Yes.
that's a win.
Yes, it is.
That's a good thing.
That's a good thing. And then the only thing of note was that there are a few extra pertussis cases between here, this last meeting and this meeting. Interesting.
Yeah.
Not something that we see a lot of, especially outside of school time, but school just ended, so I guess it's might be the time. So we're keeping an eye on pertussis.
Tdap vaccine numbers are down.
Yeah,
There's still a lot that are trying to, and a lot of people don't go to get the Tdap. That's the tetanus diphtheria, the pertussis, and even new grandparents, and that's a big thing now that, you know, there are, some of us have been grandparents for a while now that we have to go back and get it again.
Yeah. 'cause
But
you're
it's
spending time
not,
with
yeah,
them.
they had a big, huge, I wrote a grant for one, you know, quite a few years ago. But now there isn't anything around to get that extra, it's all the money, and to see who have it, it's too bad. But
Yeah.
maybe it will come back again to a couple of drug companies, that's what I wrote with, a drug company. And that's what we did all health employees, and we did all first-time grandparents, which was cool. Myself included.
So besides that, the only other announcement is timely is Councillor Chines is with us tonight. Councillor Chines is our new town council liaison on the Board of Health, so we're very happy to have you. Thank you, Jonathan, for doing this.
No, it's my pleasure, and happy to help out in any way I can. And certainly if there's anything from a town council perspective that we can do to better support the Board of Health, please let me know.
Thank you,
Thank you.
appreciate that.
So yeah, that's
We just have, all the pools are permitted.
yes.
Camps, like I said, animal permits are, there might be 2 pending right
Oh,
now.
that's not bad.
Yeah, and the biggest thing is the body work.
How are the new regs going?
Well,
Yes,
interesting enough,
So all the regs they're passed. So we've already gone out, we've done visits with an interpreter. So we had someone speaking Mandarin that went out with our inspector. We visited all of the suspected establishments, permanent establishments. We went out to meet with all of them. Some of them were open, some of them weren't. But basically, we explained what was going on. We gave them adequate time to comply. We also had the regulations translated into Chinese. So we also provided that as well. We have revamped the application process on OpenGov, so there's a lot more questions, requirements for menu of services, all of that, everything we discussed at the meeting. And so we hope to start enforcing beginning of fiscal year, which is upon us in about a week. So we will be starting to move through that process July 1st. So we'll go establishment to establishment to start enforcing our rules. So
Did we visit the new establishment that's in the Be Your Own Light Space?
yes, so that establishment, Ubi Massage, has come before the health department. They are claiming that they only provide massage services. So after looking at the menu that they provided, we didn't have any further information.
It's just massage.
So they're just doing massage.
Okay.
So they're licensed in the state.
They're licensed in the state, that's
Yeah.
correct.
And all right.
And do you verify that license when you get involved, or how?
Yes, so I
Yeah.
mean, there's no formal process, like there's no formal chain for us to do, but what we do is we find out the name of the practitioner and then we just go on the Mass website and we can type it in and find out if they have a permit, and they do. So
But we wouldn't inspect them then, would we?
we would not inspect them. Once they have a state license, the state massage inspector would come down and do an inspection. I'm not sure what their schedule is, I don't know how many times a year they do it, but they would come down.
And if there was ever like a question that other services were being provided besides massage, what would happen?
So this has happened in the past, places that have been massage exclusive, then providing what might be bodywork services, then we would go and we would go and ask the practitioner, what services are you providing? Can we see a menu? If you are providing, then you have to have a permit. So that has happened in the past, and then establishments have come to get a permit before. But we generally won't know that unless it's word of mouth, someone reports it to us at the health department. So if you ever hear anything, that's always good information for us. Sometimes they'll email the Board of Health, or it might be on the community, you might hear that, right? So it will always be useful information for us.
When they're coming into town hall, isn't there a problem like them getting a business certificate or a business are they now informing them, you know, this is something that you maybe should check the health department about?
Yes,
You guys said
so
they're doing that, right?
we've checked with the clerk's office and building, we're all on the same page now, so so they may start with the clerk's office, you know, asking for a business permit. Then they will notify us if they see anything related to body work, massage, all that, so that we can either verify yes or no, we need to get involved. Yeah, so we're all on the same page.
I had a couple of questions in regards to last month's meeting. I knew we had the woman here with the beavers.
Yes.
How is that going?
We have not had any more flooding since the last meeting.
Do we ever catch a beaver?
Not to my knowledge, no.
Do we have another like block of time where we were trapping or?
No, so the block of time that when we issue that, it's a 10-day permit. And then once that's, you can only issue that, I believe, twice. So once you've issued those two, you cannot issue them again. So within the same season. So not to my knowledge were any beavers caught.
So he's moved on.
May have moved on.
Or
We've
maybe
also-
there hasn't been as much
Yeah.
rain.
It was
Yeah.
less rain. because
Some
of
luck
the-
perhaps than everybody's.
Yeah.
so-
And there also was a complaint about rats in a certain part
The
here in the back,
construction or
yeah.
Yes.
Was that, the woman was very concerned? Was it
Yes, so we
kind of-
did go and check.
Okay.
They do have bait boxes, they have an IPM plan.
Okay.
It's just tough because I think those aren't gonna be 100%. When there's other food sources, I mean, Wakefield is lucky to be in a suburban kind of area where there is green space, so it's kind of unavoidable that there is gonna be some, but they've done what they can to kind of limit exposure. They put traps out. I didn't see any like lots of food lying around or anything.
Yeah, no, I didn't see anything myself.
So the
I went into the
homeowner
area.
took care of that themselves, so
It was a construction.
Oh, sorry, no, so
Directions.
yeah,
Wasn't it,
Okay.
yeah, I think the
the one up on near Dobia, right?
yeah.
The gas station, I think,
Okay.
wasn't she near
So-
there?
Where she lived.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
in that area, the company doing like the construction and stuff, they had already done the adequate like bait boxes and they've trapped the area, that sort of thing. So they did their due diligence when it
I
came
was
to.
actually wondering about that when you spoke about the recent restaurant that had an issue, and that was one of the issues. If that becomes an issue because of nearby development,
Yes.
will someone address it with the developer versus that becoming an added expense for the business?
So it's kind of both. So we would address it with a developer, right? And they would be responsible to provide like an integrated pest management plan. So they have to go get a certified pest control person to provide that plan. Then they have to implement that plan, right? So they have to have the bait boxes, they have to have the controls to make sure that they're doing everything they can to prevent rodents. It is also, even though there is development near the restaurant, it's also incumbent on the restaurant to provide support, so they have to clean up and seal up, they have to make sure all of their facilities are adequately maintained to prevent rodents from getting in the first place. You know, it could be down to like their dumpster management, you know, how often they're taking the trash out, they're making sure that all their food sources are locked up, so. Sort of both, it's not a great situation when that happens because it's some responsibility that falls back on the restaurant as well, but we do address it with the developer as well.
With the new fiscal year point coming around the corner, and luckily July 1st, and everybody's scrounging to make sure this balanced and that balanced. Is there anything new that will be coming into the health department? Do we have any new positions that will start in the fiscal year? or
Yes,
new
so.
Grants?
Yes, so we're in the process, but we have made an offer to a candidate for the prevention, outreach and youth services coordinator manager position. So that was formerly held by Catherine Dingra. That position we were interviewing, I want to give a huge shout out to Jen McDonald, David Robinson from the schools, Deputy Calabrese from police, and Karen Burke from the Council on Aging. They were great enough to use their time to come and help me as the hiring committee to go through and interview these candidates. We had a great slate of candidates, and we have made an offer, and so we're hopeful that this position will be starting in the new fiscal year.
Is there anything else coming in within the fiscal year, any new grants or anything? I don't think there was. right?
Grants, not that we're aware of. Yeah, nothing new yet.
I have a question. When the town remodeled this building, what happened to the needle disposal and the medication disposal?
So we still have sharps disposal at the health department. Yes, so it's in a little kiosk in the vestibule. So when you go in through the front door, it's the first thing on the left and you go up the steps. There's a little container there that you can put. The requirement is that it's in a hard plastic container that is securely sealed. Otherwise, our vendor Stereocycle won't take them. And it does get full pretty quick. It is meant for private use only. So what we've had issues with is we've had small businesses or businesses come by and drop off lots of shards.
Their own containers.
Their own containers. And if they're accumulating, that, they should be responsible for their own shards. So we've been trying to do a better job of communicating that, and when we are able to see somebody like, hey, that's your business, sharps, you gotta take it with you. But we do have sharps, and we don't have medication disposal in the health
No,
department.
you don't. And has that been removed from police stations now, do you know?
Not fully aware. of
Just this
that.
one.
Yeah, so I'm not fully aware of what the situation here is.
Someone asked me.
Yeah,
the other day.
after the renovation, it never came back.
Yeah. I have to, maybe I'll do my own and send an email. to the
So
police
we
department.
have had CVS and Walgreens be nice enough to, that's where we send everybody.
Hmm. And we have, I don't know, did Melissa get those kits? The one that you can do the disposing, put it in your
Yes,
trash?
Handed it
Yeah.
out on-
Do you
Yes,
have-
so
yeah, yeah.
we still have a small amount, but we have those. Have you ever seen those medication disposal pouches? So they're like almost like sand or cat litter inside these little bags. And so what you can do is you can open it, put a small amount of medication in there, pour some warm water, close it up, shake it up, and so that will help deactivate the medication, and you can just throw the whole thing in the trash. So it's less toxic than disposing medication.
We have maybe,
We all
after
belong,
cleaning
right?
out today, it was like a little basket left.
Yes. so
But the people come in with the medication, trying to do one-stop shopping and do their shops and do their
Yeah.
expired meds. And then I have to send them away. I give them that. I say, just take this so they're not running around town.
Yeah, right.
But I'm forever getting that medical box back here.
They do have
the day.
Yeah, they still have the day, but it's such a thing that I think that we forget sometimes. I know myself, when you have medication, and I don't want to, I mean, we used to crush it, we used to use the bags. I had a thing in the health department, and there was one at the police station, so you could go.
Yeah.
But now, someone had told me that they thought that a lot of police stations had taken it out because it's very regulated
Yes.
now with them, on what they're taking in and what they're taking out, and I'm always scratching labels off, even on empty bottles and things like that. But I think sometimes when you have something like that more readily available, it sometimes encourages you maybe to clean out that medicine cabinet more. When you have that medication, you're not gonna use anymore, you can take it and get rid of it right then and there.
Yeah.
Just wanted to know this. Thank you. Anybody else have any other questions for our director and our clerk? Thank you for your fast response on permits and helping us with relay and helping me with ice cream trucks in the
Yeah.
neighborhood so that I could make those.
So, yep, so we have our regulars are back.
Yeah.
Joe's, Ryan, and Sam's is gonna get inspected this week.
Oh,
So
good.
there's 3 ice cream trucks right
Oh,
now.
good, good.
Joe was waiting at
There was an
camp pickup
email that Came
today.
into us about the Wakefield water truck.
Oh, yeah,
They do
right.
inspections of that as well, no, not
That
about
was a,
We don't do inspections of the Wakefield water truck. I know there was some concerns.
There was a
about it.
question in regards to the event, first of all, was held by the school department. So that's overseen by them. So if they have an event like that, do they have to apply like everyone else does through the town website for the event and
if it's a
everything?
private event,
No,
it was a private school event, right, for the school?
it was their field day or something.
Yeah,
Right, okay.
Yeah.
So I think what the main concern was the fact that nobody had like water bottles, that there was a lot of disposal of plastic cups.
Ah.
And there was questions whether or not, who was really supervising the students going up and getting it, and were they doing it right so that they didn't contaminate a sprout and stuff like that, and cups being thrown, which, doesn't go into what we really practice here. and things like that. But I thought that where it was a private event through them, if they had to have anything, then they would have made sure that someone knew, but it wouldn't be us to go out.
Yeah, and I think there was also concern about kids drinking straight from the.
From the spout, yeah,
spout.
yeah.
It's something that we can, I guess, talk with the.
But I mean,
schools.
regardless if it's used properly or
Right.
improperly, it probably goes back to a process of being clean,
Who owns it?
clean and sanitized.
It's a company,
Is it DPW?
I thought,
no,
it wasn't the
it's a
town.
private company.
I think
Yeah,
it's
like a
it's
It's a
bike-
private
I think it's a
company where
private
you
company.
hire them to come in.
But
Have you seen them?
doesn't Wakefield have its own
Yes.
water truck?
They do,
It's-
yes.
That's
And-
not
and-
this quench buggy
I
thing?
think DPW owns the Wakefield, or get confirmed later, but
Yeah,
I
like
think
we
DPW
have,
owns
Wakefield
it.
There's
owns
one,
one,
right?
but
That's right.
it's not supported by this company that was mentioned in that email. Like it's managed by I thought the DPW or someone. I would hope that they have some kind of sanitation protocol.
I think there is.
And we can reach out to them. and
Yeah,
find
we
out
probably
what the
should know that,
process is.
right? Yeah.
We'll find out what the process is.
I think just to know for any other town event coming
Yeah,
in, at
sure.
least that we'll know about it. It's not our responsibility,
Yeah.
but we'll at least be able to know where you can refer somebody to go to.
And there's a chance there'll be a town day, so it'll be good practice
Yeah,
for us.
There is one at
But
town.
between now and
Yeah.
town, day, we'll figure out what the process
I don't
is.
think it's.
Yeah.
But if it's, was the day of concern at the Woodville Field Day? Was it like a,
Yeah.
I think,
Yeah,
no, I
that's-
think it was the camp.
Wasn't it a field day?
Yeah.
I think it was a field
Yeah.
day,
Yeah.
yeah, it was
Yeah.
school, but it was a
Because
field.
it was definitely a school day.
because
Yeah.
I was at the Woodville Field Day
Oh,
and it was there.
yes,
Oh.
oh, well, that makes sense.
And they handed out water bottles to the kids. And all the kids had their own water bottles.
Yeah, right.
So perhaps there may have been some extra cups, maybe just in case for
Oh,
another
yeah.
reason. They were also playing games with flippy cups, like it was all outdoors.
Yeah, no, this was.
But
the Alvin's.
They
Yeah,
had,
this was on
they had
Farm
water
Market.
bottles, yeah, this was up at Landrigan Field.
Oh, yeah.
The high school football field, that's where the Woodville kids were, and the buggy was there, but all the kids had their own water bottles. And someone had given a donation of like, kind of like cheap water bottles for
Yeah.
people that didn't have one.
Oh, nice.
But I really didn't see the kids, all the kids that I saw, their teachers were supporting them getting it filled, and if they didn't have their own water bottle, which I think was a very small proportion, they had these other brand new water
Bottles
bottles that they
available.
could make their
for
own.
them. That was nice, yeah.
So,
Maybe where that's a much larger school, it might have been more grade wise, or that may have been in, or maybe it just was an oversight that for some reason or other. If rain was predicted, you know how it is the night before, oh, field day will be canceled and at the last minute, but maybe it's something if we know, we could just speak to the school department and just say someone noticed it.
Yeah, well,
You know,
we'll check
if
with
they
school
can put it in.
department, I'll check with DPW before.
it would be interesting to know that they do have some kind of protocol to clean the
I
thing.
think there is.
There must be.
And I think it's
Yeah.
tough too, because like we can't control the behavior of children,
Right.
right? It's a giant event, and I think there are, at least the event I was at, there's lots of teachers and there's lots of parents, but everybody is trying to do their best. And so I think,
And I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think it was a very, very warm day. Extremely warm.
Woodville Day was
Yeah.
very warm.
So I'm wondering, if some students probably finished the water bottle, you know how they are, I've been there, done that.
Went
Field
under the-
days, when there's
Sure.
400 or 500 of them, and then everybody wants to drink a water
Yeah,
now, not
it's
later,
chaos.
It is, it could happen, and it's a school event, so we can just remind the school department that,
Yeah.
to be a little careful. All right, is there anything else?
Jonathan, anything for you?
No, nothing for me.
You learned a lot tonight, right, Jonathan?
I did, no, I appreciate it, and thank you for letting me kind of sit in and listen in.
You get a pass this time.
What's that?
It's a pass this time, you don't have to say much, next time we
That's
expect.
And that's fine.
But
I
you
also have to compliment you on having a much shorter meeting than we did the other night. So,
I come from a board that our longest meeting was 15 minutes.
oh, wow.
I haven't bet his record yet, but I did one night, we were half an hour. I try to keep it short and simple.
Yeah, this is pretty good.
Because, there's a lot going on. There's a lot of important meetings tonight and people try to catch up on Zoom. It's too much, I
Yeah.
really like. If there's nothing else,
Should we talk about Our next
Next meeting,
meeting.
Our next meeting would be when, July what?
So, we can do a July meeting. If you guys would also,
Vacation would be nice.
you guys would also have the
Oh,
option
yeah.
to meet in August
Yeah.
instead of July.
Yeah.
Yes, unless anybody's very objective to that, but
I would love that.
maybe let's plan for an August meeting.
So why don't we go for August and July only if we have a
Yeah.
emergency, and that would be for the last week, right? Yeah, I know Anthony, you're away, our public health nurse is away, I'm away in July.
Yes.
Is anybody else away? So, yeah, so
I'm
there's a couple of us, yeah.
So August, our third
21.
Wednesday generally, so
Yeah.
21st.
Mm.
So
So tentatively, August 21st at 6:30
6:30.
here, just in case, but if there's something drastic comes up, and
Yes.
so far, everything looks great.
Or
for the
no.
month of July,
Yeah.
great, okay?
So if we need to, if there's an emergency, there's no emergency, we would convene maybe like an emergency board meeting, it'd probably just be on Zoom, so it doesn't like come in person, but we would do a Zoom, we'd post it obviously 48 hours in advance, that's what.
Sounds good.
Yep,
We
all
can have a motion to adjourn.
I'll second that.
Okay, all in favor?
Leanne, I.
Okay, Silver eye, and we are adjourning at 7:16 PM.